Welcome to The Dish, 15 minutes of curated insights and intelligence for federal contracting stakeholders. It's Monday, September 15th, and this is a special edition of The Dish for fiscal year end. I'm go-to guy Timberlake, and today we're serving up a review and comparison of the final quarter of spending for the U.S. government for fiscal year 2025. So, a little editorial I want to share, given things that are happening right now in the government sector. While a lot of folks out there are bemoaning the fact that, once again, Congress is yet to successfully pass a spending bill, one of the top responsibilities for members of the House and the Senate. The failures of the 118th and 119th Congress to pass a budget stands out. As a result, President Trump, who faced two shutdowns in his previous term, to include the longest shutdown in U.S. history that lasted 34 days, now faces a third possible shutdown. But funding issues and full-year CRs are not new. In fact, the Congressional Research Service records definitively show the U.S. government operating under full-year continuing resolutions 16 times since the modern budget process began in 1976, to include 11 consecutive years between 1978 and 1988. While CRs are not new, the harm to the government and the nation continues to rise. Since 2011, the Pentagon has operated under CRs for an average of 117 days per fiscal year, or nearly 1/3 of each year. Previous reports from the Pentagon indicates DoD experiences losses of at least $3 billion per month when operating under CRs. This results in Navy shipbuilding budgets losing 30% of requested funding effectiveness, reducing the number of ships it can complete during that period. Indo-Pacific defense priorities have suffered, to include hypersonic defense systems and 8 Army construction projects vital to defense and the defense industrial base. They're all facing either delays or cancellations. So what it comes down to is this: the infighting that we're experiencing and have experienced is causing an inability for Congress to do its job. And that only reduces our nation's ability to compete strategically with adversaries like China. Congress, we need to get it together. Hey, folks, when I say the names Courtney, Martin, Jody, and Maureen, immediately you should think of Global Services, the best resource in federal contracting for winning and activating multiple award schedules, GWACs, and other contract vehicles that your federal customers are using. For the past 25 years, Global Services has helped over 3,000 companies achieve success by understanding small business because they are a small business. Global Services has helped companies just like yours win more than $25 billion in federal contracts, and they have the knowledge and skill to help you too. Their personalized approach and deep understanding of the federal marketplace ensures every client receives the support they need to succeed. Reach out to them right now at globalservicesinc.com or call them at 202-234-8933 and make sure you tell them a go-to guy sent you. Folks, it's Monday, September 15th, 2025. And I want to share with you a little bit about Q4 for fiscal year 2025 and its award data. But first, a quick update. You might remember on a previous episode of The Dish, our friend Tom Wilson had shed light on a, disturbing situation happening with a live opportunity coming out of Department of Transportation. And in short, DOT had decided to not review all of the responses that it was expecting to receive, limiting it to just the first 15 responses. Well, thanks to Ton, and we think a little bit to us as well. We got the attention of some folks that matter over at Transportation. As a result, we were told that that opportunity was being canceled, going to be revisited, and hopefully reissued. So, nice job, Todd, for bringing that to everyone's attention. All right, let's dig into fourth quarter. So, Q4 of the government fiscal year is traditionally an all-hands-on-deck activity. That brings a lot of chaos for both government and industry due to the fiscal cliff of expiring appropriations. Now, this use it or lose it methodology has long been the stuff of last-minute victories for industry and some tragedies for federal agencies. In this special edition of The Dish, we're going to take a look at how FY2025 compares to FY2024, the last completed fiscal year, and we're going to break down how those dollars are being obligated in the shadow of procurement consolidation and GSA OneGov. So what I want to start with is this. One of the reasons, and this was talked about also in a previous episode of The Dish, is the fact that in the big, beautiful bill, 1/4 of fiscal spending, appropriations, I should say, were set with new expiration dates. Instead of being a 1-year use it or lose it bucket of money, some of it was 4 years, some of it was longer. Inherently, that's going to change the dynamic of what fiscal year looks like because, again, it's 1/4 or 1/3, of the fiscal spend based on FY 2024 levels. We're operating under a CR, which means that we're operating under a portion of fiscal year 2024's budget. So stands to reason that 1/3 will carry over. So here's what it looks like. Going in, doing our research, using our tools like the Federal Procurement Data System Next Generation, we can take a look and find out right now that roughly $66 billion has been obligated by the U.S. government since July 1st. Now, here's what that includes and what it doesn't include, and more specifically, what it doesn't include. That is from July 1st to September 14th. That does not include Department of Defense obligations because it is, blocked from public view for 90 days. So until we get into that, we won't be able to see exactly what portion of that DoD spent. What I can tell you is that last fiscal year, the U.S. government obligated $172.6 billion for the fiscal year end, and that was from July 1st, 2024 to September 14th, 2024. So looking at the same exact period of time. Of that, 101 billion of that was DoD. So if we base that on kind of the law of averages right now, we're at a slightly slower pace for overall spending than last year, assuming that, again, the delta between 172 and 65 is the civilian agencies on a slower obligation pace. But there's more I want to talk about because we are overshadowed right now with OneGov, and there are a lot of folks out there reacting to information that they're hearing and not understanding that certain things have not yet been implemented by the U.S. government. So let's start like this. Based on the current spending for this fiscal year, 70 contracting departments, 141 contracting agencies, and that's basically going from DoD to Army or DHS to FEMA, and then 1,463 contracting offices have obligated $66 billion during fourth quarter. Now, on the other side, there are 89 funding departments, 274 funding agencies, and 3,961 funding offices who have submitted the paperwork and the money to make these buys happen. So one of the things you need to think about is how is the consolidation going to impact things like this? What we anticipate is fewer contracting offices, but really no change in the number of funding offices. Something to think about. When you take a look at solicitation procedures and what it looked like, negotiated proposals and quotes, effectively FAR Part 15, accounts for $30 billion. So getting close to half. Subject to multiple award fair opportunity is about $24.5 billion. When you add in simplified acquisitions into the negotiated proposals, what you see is buying still happening the way it has traditionally. That is going to, again, not necessarily contract vehicles or specifically multiple award contract vehicles. When you take a look at the competition type, what we see is full and open accounts for $47 billion just about, with full and open after exclusion of sources, another $9.2 billion. So that's good news. A lot more is being put out there than not. Not available for competition, not competed under SAP, and not competed at all, is roughly $7 billion showing up there. So again, from a competition standpoint, that's good news. When we come back, we'll take a little bit deeper look at what the obligations for fiscal year in 2025 is looking like. Hey folks, Chuck Dickens and the team at IT Availability are doing great things for the U.S. government and our nation. IT Availability is led by former senior intelligence community executives who excel at implementing cutting-edge technologies, mitigating cyber risks, and ensuring data integrity. Their expertise spans satellite communications, network operations, cybersecurity, software development, and data center services. If they can empower the intelligence community, imagine what they can do with the rest of the government. Their proven track record of delivering mission-critical solutions and maintaining the highest security standards makes them an invaluable partner for agencies facing complex technical challenges. Contact Chuck and the team today by visiting itavailability.com. Okay, folks, we're diving back in to the fiscal year-end spending, FY2025. One of the things that we took a look at was the number of dollars going out to new work. So that's a zero modification number that you'll see in the data. What that means is for a contract vehicle, or an order against a contract vehicle, it represents the very first occurrence before any changes took place. So $28 billion was new. And when you break it down, of that, $21 billion of that were delivery orders. What that means is a contract vehicle, single award or multiple award was used. You've got another $3.3 billion in definitive contracts, 1.2 in purchase orders, and you kind of get a feel for what everything looks like. So when we take a look at the overall spend and take a look at the kind of vehicles that were used, BOAs, BPAs, the FSS, now known as MASS, GWACs, and indefinite delivery contracts, what we see is indefinite delivery contracts leading the way. IDC, if you don't know, is home to three versions of an indefinite delivery contract. That's IDDQ, definite quantity, IDR, requirements, and IDIQ. So that's what you're seeing in there. When you take a look below that and look at the $21.3 billion, what that means is those dollars were obligated either against a standalone contract, like a definitive contract, which is $16 billion, or a purchase order, which is $1.7 billion, or against a single award version of a vehicle like a BOA, a BPA, or an IDC. So that gives you a breakdown there. And what we're seeing is single award is still rocking it hard. Now, speaking of which, here's a breakdown for you. Multiple award versus single award. $22.2 billion for multiple award, 21.9, or basically $22 billion for single award, and that's just contract vehicles. And then you go down below that and you add in all the rest of those dollars, which are single award dollars. And again, right now, the trending in the dollars still looks like what it has traditionally. So again, the changes that we're all anticipating are not really in effect yet. The spending that is going on right now still looks like it does over the last 5-10 years. Folks, one of the ways that we are pulling this information together for you is by using the skills that we teach during our Ethical Stalking for Government Contractors Bootcamp program. It's the most complete, accurate, and practical growth training in government contracting. And that's not just me saying it, because this is the feedback we get from our attendees, both novice and experienced. Why do they show up? They want to elevate their ability to make growth happen for their companies. Right now, until the 23rd of September, you've got early bird savings of $500 available to you right now. We meet in Bethesda, Maryland. The next cohort takes place October 21st and 22nd. This is comprehensive, hands-on training during the initial 2-day immersion workshop, and it's transformational. And the 1-year bootcamp alumni resources online following that makes it actionable. Reserve your seat for October today by visiting bootcamp.theasbc.org or give us a call at 410-381-7378. Okay, we're going to finish up here with our look at fiscal year 2025, fiscal year end. Something I wanted to show you. Here's a breakdown of the dollars the government reports setting aside for small business. And what you see is basically $8.1 billion. So out of that total spend of $65.5 billion, that represents 17%. Now, you guys know every year I put out a rebuttal to the scorecard, and here's why. Because what's going to actually show up is this. When you take a look at the number of dollars that were obligated to small business, it's $18.3 billion. Mind you, only $8 billion of that was actually set aside. Whether it was competed or sole source, that's it. So what we're going to see reported is 38% achievement for the government. But that's $10 billion small business won without using a government assistance program. Think about it. Folks, this is the dish for this week. Remember, in federal contracting, the companies getting shit done are staying ahead of the intelligence curve. Use what we've served up. Take action, and we'll be back next week with another 15 minutes or slightly longer of insights that don't waste your time. Remember, the person saying it can't be done should stop interrupting the person doing it, and I believe you can get it done. I'm Go-To Guy Timberlake, and this has been your latest serving of the dish.